Part 2 of recording done February the 11th, 2019. Title, Chaos Reign presents BDSM, Where Do You Stand on the Scale? With the lovely and beautiful guest, Neon Eyes. Enjoy.
For the age, that's not something new. It's actually common in our society today. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? That's why not every person that's in their elder age, early stage, like in 50, are considered elders. You know what I'm saying? Because they have to show a preface of what they are in their character as a person, man and woman. You know? Because if you've been on this earth now for 50 years, there's a sense of respect and maturity you carry yourself as a 50-year-old person, at least. Because when you're amongst the presence of younger people, they might not like or respect you, but they're going to notice that they're going to respect what you say because it's going to resonate on them. Not right away, but in time it will.
Yeah. And
most young adults don't see it now, but they're going to look back and say, you're a crazy old fool, but you know you're right. I should listen to you. Because now you're showing not only your age, but your experience with a sense of maturity about it.
Right.
And that separates you from being an actual mature person and an actual elder. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of elders we come across today, if they're trying to, especially older black women, if they're trying to keep up like the young women, they go lose a lot more respect. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to look at you and say, well, I don't want to end up like you, because if you look at yourself, Neon, because you're a millennial, you think as a woman, young age, you think you want to, and let's say if you had it bad, you would look at your life and say, I don't want to be like my mother. You know what I'm saying? Or let's say this mother, but you have both parents, so it does not apply to you. But let's say if you were a single household, right, and your mother tells you certain things, right? Mm-hmm. There's certain things you go look at her and look at your life and say, well, there's certain things I don't want to amount to, and I don't want to be you because what you did, Mom, was not working.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't want to end up like you. You know? And I'm finding a lot of millennials now are learning now from what they've seen out from the product of their environment. They don't want to end up like their parents, especially if they've been raised by one parent in their life.
Mm-hmm.
That goes not only for the young women, but it goes for the young boys as well.
Right.
So I feel with this generation that is already here and is even slowly more approaching, they're going to learn from the mistakes of a few of our parents here and there, you know? The only thing they need now is a sense of guidance, you know, to know where to go and what to do to push forward. Wait, hold on. Did Gary show up with what the fuck? I ain't gotta read that.
Uh-oh.
Shit. No, they wrote something stupid. I ain't gonna read that. All right. Hold on a second.
So good. I can't see the comments. I've learned to not even pay attention to chat rooms if I'm on a panel or something because I get super distracted.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're the host of the show, so you have to.
Yeah, I know. Stay on for a second. Let me do this.
Was it bad?
All right, Nia, I have another military veteran. I have here with Mr. Charles Faulkner. Charles, say hello.
Hey, what's up, Neon?
Hi, Officer Faulkner. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And woo to everybody in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because, you know, Neon is a young lady who's actually served her country. Well, I have nothing but respect for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening earlier. I probably walked away from the phone. I heard that you said you feel as though that women shouldn't join the military. I didn't hear it, but could you elaborate?
I just feel like when it comes to things like endurance in war and stamina and the ability to hold a certain amount of pressure for a certain amount of time, with women having their biological build, it does not compare to that of a man. We have monthly cycles. We have to get pregnant. We go through a host of hormonal changes throughout the month because of that. And it sort of interferes. It can interfere with your judgment, you know. And I just think that the military is for men. And like I said, I can speak on it because I served for 5 years, and I know a lot of the things that I felt. I had a nervous breakdown when I was in the military. I couldn't handle that, you know. And there were women around me who suffered just from the mental strain, you know, and it's just something that women are not built for. That's just my honest opinion. I mean, I saw it every day, you know.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because you and I have very similar talking points when it comes to issues like that. And what would you say to a feminist who would disagree with you saying that equal?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, were you finished?
Yeah, I was like, what would you say to a feminist who would be the staunch defender of men and women are equal, we're the stronger race, and all that other bullshit?
I would say, okay, so when stuff hits the fan, I would say two things. One, when stuff hits the fan, don't look to a man for help. Two, when you're out there on the basketball court or when you're out there at war or when you're out there trying to do a man's job and you get injured, don't ask a man for help. If you're equal to him and you want equity and you want the same things that a man has, but you're actually biologically not capable and not competent in those areas, it's like, you know, you're asking for something that's just not there. So when you need help and when you need someone to be strong for you, don't look for a man to do it. Do it yourself.
That's deep on so many levels because you've been on so many panels, the same as I have been, and same as Chaos. And you're not just a woman who ladylike, but you're also a proven soldier. And you even said you went through the nervous breakdowns. And it's been shown through studies that women who are in these fields that are normally dominated by men are the most unhappiest.
Because
go ahead. No, you good. It's your show.
No, I was just going to say because she's not. I think she's rejecting her biology. So of course it's going to drive her crazy. She's not acting in nature.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's like a man who doesn't work. You take the usefulness of a man out, and what do you have left? Just a husk. Just like a woman, she wants to be feminine. She could be strong, but not in the same way as a man. Just like we don't judge our strength against women.
Right.
Nope. But you know how women constantly judge their strength against men, and they'll get upset because, oh, it's unfair. You're just doing it because I'm a woman. No, it's, there's no, as you heard it, all's fair in love and war. And when you're held to a certain...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Cut me off anytime.
No, I was just going to say, I don't understand how a woman can be okay with that because to me, I'd feel insulted. Like you're comparing me to a man. I'm a woman. I can't prove my worth through competing with a man because I'm not a man. But to me, if someone were to compare me, I love men, but I love men, and no insult or anything. But I enjoy being a woman. I enjoy being feminine. So there's no way for me to prove myself through competing with a man because I'm not a man. And I would feel insulted if someone compared me to, like that's just what man wants a woman that's that hard and that,
Might as well get a man for that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just backwards.
And going into that line of thinking, I want to ask you a question for a lot of these feminazis out there who don't understand it. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the strength in being feminine.
I think when a woman embraces her femininity and she is okay with just being a woman, it makes men want to help you or take care of you or protect you because you're feeding a part of his masculinity. You're feeding that. Your femininity feeds his manhood. It literally feeds his spirit. So it makes men want to be a man to you and for you when you can do that because you're showing your vulnerability. You're showing that you need him. You're showing that he is actually strong for you, and it's natural to feel that way. I think that it should be natural because when a woman submits to a man or when she embraces that, it's a safe and comfortable place to be. I don't understand what the big deal is. But when women do that, it's like it feeds him, Only masculinity repels masculinity, but femininity draws it. It's like magnets.
Yeah. It's like an old saying: a woman can be a man's greatest strength or his kryptonite.
I hear you say that a lot.
Oh yeah, it's true. And like you said, and I couldn't answer it any better myself, how that feminine strength draws out the masculine. Like it makes a man want to pursue more. Like throughout history, men conquered lands, they settled places, they explored, they had technological breakthroughs to make living easier for their women and children. When you put women who are not biologically adapted and capable of settling and doing things, that, like you said, they're unhappy because they're not allowed to show vulnerability. And I'd like to piggyback off of what you said. A lot of men aren't allowed to show vulnerability because we don't have that female counterpart who can embrace us and calm us down. Because a good woman is a calming factor in a lot of times. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm trying to think of more questions. And
I'm sorry. I wanted to. I'm sorry if you had any more questions. I was going to make a comment.
You could go ahead real quick.
Yeah. I'm not a feminist. I'm just a realist. I have to say that men have to be responsible for women working in certain areas. In World War II, men had to go and fight the war, especially American men. Well, we got about 6 million soldiers left. Women made the projectiles for the military. They had to go into the warehouses and make the rounds. They were on the assembly lines. They had to do it. They had to replace the men because men went out onto the battlefield. So men going to war, fighting each other, forced women to actually have to leave the home and work for the telephone company. That contribution helped us win World War II. You cannot separate from what the women leaving the home, having to go into those industries, making the projectiles and other, mechanical work, other assembly line type of work, and blue-collar work. You can't separate that from the victory. Just can't. So I understand when we say biological and things of that nature, but some things are just a man-made construct also. So I agree. Hey, if I'm working at a job, a woman wants to get this position. Hey, she can't tell me, excuse me, sir, can you pick up this box for me? No, you have to pick up that box, woman, because you're making this amount of money. I'm not going to do that. You have the same job title, and you're not going to come and say equal rights for women, but then I have to be this man, and I have to pick up the box for you. No, you go pick up that box. So men, even when they're on these jobs, we have to say, hold up, if they want rights, don't get and say, oh, she's the weaker vessel. No. But another thing, I'm not a feminist. I'm a realist. I just look at it is. Women is going to have some type of contribution to our society in a different way than the traditional way. That's just what it is. We all evolve into it. And if we evolve in some type of society, we're not going to be hunter-gatherers. Men go out and cut the woods and go kill the buffalo while she breastfeeding the child. That's just not a hunter-gatherer. That's just not the society that we live in. But I understand with people we have to have some type of balance. So it's a clash of the traditional versus the modern age. But unfortunately, the way I see it is men going out and fighting war amongst each other, forcing women to actually go into work and get into the groove of working and making money. I believe once you allow someone, man or woman, to make money, trying to stop them from making money is going to cause conflict in their lives. Once you get a person making money and they get into that mood of making money and they start making their decisions, you can't stop them. If you try to stop them, it's going to cause conflict in their lives. I'll challenge anyone. Get a woman making $60,000 or $100,000, whatever she's doing, and then someone says, okay, stop. I want you to just go ahead and stop doing it. There's going to be, ask a man, so money plays a lot of part in that too. So that's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right, but yeah, they were forced to help the society. I'm just talking about the American type of society, and wars had a lot of things to do with. That's just my opinion. So I'll fall back.
All right, cool. I did the thing, Neon, and I didn't know they'd come out with a website soon of this, the BDSM. I know this is a trial run.
Are you talking about, which website are you talking about?
The BDSM questionnaire.
Oh, the personality test. Oh, okay.
Yes, they actually come out with an actual website. I guess it's like a dating website, like.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I'm not on that one though. I'm on a different one, but
okay.
Yeah, they did. They did come out with that site.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Let's continue, Charles, with your questions.
Yes, and for the person named me, yes, I'm denouncing feminism. Femininity and feminism are two different categories, two separate entities. First of all, as you can see, Lady Neon Eyes is a lady, is a female. She doesn't have to compete with me. I don't have to compete with her. I can feed off her feminine energy. She can feed off my masculine. It's equal give, even, ebb, and flow. So feminism is the reason why the black community is in the uproar state that it's in. But back to the most important person of the hour, Neon. When it comes to sexuality for women, does that hurt or hinder the feminine energy and spirit when you're more open and vocal about it?
Did you say sensuality or sexuality?
Well, you could use sensuality and sexuality. I'm glad you said sensuality as well.
Because when I think of it, I don't think about things like dressing in an overtly sexual manner or something like that. I think it can just simply be the way you carry yourself, the way. I think a lot of men think it's sexy when a woman just wants to serve them, like, you know, it doesn't have to involve anything even physically sexual or touch. I mean, people just have a very narrow-minded way of thinking about everything. So I can only really have these conversations with men because they seem to be the only ones that get it. Very few women do, but I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Does it enhance the feminine energy? Like you were saying about the way you carry yourself, which is a good point. Like, you don't have to be overtly sexual to be sensual or sexy, right?
Right. I mean, no, you absolutely don't. Because that's not what sexy is. I don't think it involves having. I think Mark Jacobs made a quote about it. He said, young girls need to understand that being sexy does not involve, doesn't mean being naked or something along those lines. And that's just the thing. I mean, I think that the way a woman, like, shifts her hair out of her face, some men find that sexy. I mean, the way she probably laughs at certain jokes, or some men may find that sexy and appealing. I mean, there's just so many things, you know, and that makes you more attractive when you can rest in your femininity. Like, men like that. They're men. They're supposed to like it, and you're supposed to give it to them. You're a woman.
All right. Charles, hold on a second. Let me open this line. Hold on. Let me see if I open it. All right. Open the line. Who's this? Hello?
I don't hear you.
Hello? I just opened the line a while ago. Shit. I guess they're silent. I don't like this conference call. I can't tell who the hell.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're used to the Hangout format, sometimes it's just...
Yeah, well, you know, this platform's a little different. But continue.
It's amazing how so eloquent she puts the feminine energy on such a grand display. And it's a beautiful display the way she's articulating it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I think we're missing. And you're only how old, Neon?
I'm sorry?
And how old are you?
24.
Jeez Louise, you're well beyond
You're going on 25, actually, because it's New Year.
Right. Yeah. I'll be 25 in August.
Okay.
Wow, you're ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You realize before your years, because you know a lot of women usually don't learn this lesson until they're about damn near almost twice your age.
Mm. When they about to hit that wall stage.
I mean, when they hit that wall, you got to think. And correct me if I'm wrong, Neon. A woman's physical prime, the greatest value is when she's 16 to 30.
Right.
That's when she could produce the best children. She's at her most beautiful. I mean, you're literally like a rock star, especially if you hit the genetic jackpot. But a lot of women fail to work on their social skills at those ages. Would you agree?
No, I absolutely agree. And I think with me, I grew up around a lot of men. Like, I'm the only girl, and I'm the youngest out of 6 brothers and 1 godbrother. So it was the elder women in my family and my aunts that set the example for me, because girls my age were doing things that would probably be detrimental to them. So my family kept me away from all that stuff, and the men were allowed to be men. The women in my family embraced their feminine roles, and they didn't work. Their job was homemaking, the children, the wifely duties and things like that. They worked if they wanted to, but they didn't have to. And they taught me a lot about what it is to do those type of things for a man, because it's not traditional anymore. And it was the older women in my family too. Like the older women were just so elegant and just beautiful, and I missed them. Like, you don't get that anymore.
I'm glad you brought that up. Why don't you see that type of feminine energy? Like, they refuse. Like, now you'll see a refusal to do cooking, cleaning, like traditional feminine work. Yeah, they could do other things, but they, like you were saying, they were elegant. They would please their men. They weren't slaves to their men, but they would please them.
Right. I just think that this westernized society as a whole, a lot of people judge their self-worth and their value off of their occupation. They base their self-worth, they base their just self-esteem, everything off of what they do for a living. And it's like racing against everybody to get to the top. That's what everyone's preoccupied with. And I think women need to understand that that's not a part of womanhood. That's a part of adulthood. Having a job is not a part of womanhood. That's just being an adult. What you bring to the table in terms of being a woman is completely different. And I just think that's why. I just think that the art of playing with your sexuality and your feminine nature, like as women, has been lost because women, they're just too preoccupied with wanting to compete with men. And yeah.
Indeed. And I'm looking at chat room, and it's getting a little heated up in the chat room, Charles. You're going back and forth. And I said, damn.
I'm just entertaining myself with whoever this Hey There Lonely Girl is. Number one, to answer a question, you're correct. I'm not on your level. I'm so far above it. The only way you would get a man is if he was in cardiac arrest, okay? And he can't move. We can tell by your actions that you're not feminine or sociable. Unlike, Lady Neon here, who embraces her femininity. Think about that. But not to steal the show away from these Mythnons and Scallywags. Back to you, Lady Neon. Yeah, and I'm loving the answers you give. It feels like I'm talking to somebody 45 and not 25. And I'm not saying that you're old. I mean, you could ask Chaos. This is rare. It's rare for young ladies who are mature in their femininity and their selves. I think maybe that's not just about your upbringing. It was a combination of the upbringing and the military, where it kind of helps you to grow up faster,
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, you get exposure, a lot of exposure. And then, I come from a military family. Like, all the men in my family were military.
Oh, yeah, so you're a legacy soldier like myself.
Yeah, I mean, and... Yeah, so, I mean, I think after having, like, a lot of conversations, even with my brothers, even now, I get to hear it from the horse's mouth, things that turn men off and on about women and the current social climate that we live in, and why it's going to be difficult for some people to get relationships now because of this whole feminist movement and stuff, and it's just unfortunate.
I'm so glad you said that, because I think a lot of it deals with this competitive nature that people have. Like, I don't want to compete with my woman. She shouldn't want to compete with me. We should be it's not a dominating thing. It's a cooperation.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's you're basically a complementary to each other.
Mhm.
You're going to pick up the slack where I'm weak, and I'm going to pick up the slack where you're weak. Where when people see us walking down the street, they can't tell what you're lacking because you cover it up and you bring the best out of each other.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And let me see another one. So, with the lifestyle and the presence of what is it called again?
Which one?
The B.
Oh, BDSM test?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, what about it?
So, with that lifestyle, is that more of a mental, or is it more physical?
A lot of it does require more mental. A lot of it is mental. Most of it is mental. And I remember last year you and I were on a panel on CG3's channel, and we talked about this a little bit. But it was hard for me to really go into it because we had a troll on the panel. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is mental. So it's going to be hard if you're dealing with someone who doesn't have like integrity, because there's a greater risk and danger involved, of course, because of the different, because of the practice itself. So a lot of it is mental, like the mental play, the mental bondage, the mental aspect of it is pretty much the tool. It's used as a tool to feed certain desires and to implement order and discipline and correction and things like that. So it's not something that's used just for pleasure, but it's used as something to make order and correction solid, along with discipline.
Okay. Hold on, Charles. Let me see who this is. Open your line. Who's this?
Yes, this is this is all again.
Is Howard again?
Yeah, this is all facts.
Okay. No questions? No comments?
Oh, I was going to ask her about I know you're talking about femininity. I just a question like as far as higher education for women. Do you think that they should pursue higher education first and then have children, or have their children and then pursue higher education? Let's just say a woman says, I want to become an astronaut, or I want to become a neurosurgeon. To keep her femininity, do you think that she should delay her education, have her family with her husband, like 4 kids, and then wait till she get 35 to go back to school to be a neurosurgeon, or vice versa? That's just my question. To keep her, I mean, basically, if a woman really has a dream to pursue a career, how should she put it off in a later stage, or she should have the kids first? What do you think if a woman really does want to work and keep her femininity? How can a woman have a career and keep her femininity? That's my question. And I'll fall back.
It depends, honestly, on what's important to her, because it seems to me that if you wanted to have children, you wouldn't try to focus on school while raising the children and being there for your husband as well. It just seems like that would be stretching yourself way too much, because you have your duties as a wife and a mother. So trying to go to school on top of that, to me, would seem counterproductive. As far as like working and wanting to maintain femininity, it's not like you have to completely give up your you just have to, every woman is going to have to just figure out for herself what's important to her. Do you want to be the CEO? Do you want to be the CEO and the accountant and the this and the that? Like, when do you have time to be a wife or a girlfriend or a mother? You have to figure out, she's going to have to figure that out for herself. I don't really have an answer for that, because I just think that we live in a society where that is put on the back burner. A lot of women, it's not important to them. So they're just going to have to figure out what's important to them. And if they can figure it out, if they can contemplate it long enough, they'll figure it out. I mean, hopefully it won't be too late when they do, but you can't, it's counterproductive to want to run the business. You know, I think it's about balance too. But I really don't know how to answer that, honestly. I just don't have the answer. Like, I just think every woman, every girl needs to just figure out what's important to her and where she wants to be 3, 4, 10 years from now, what have you. I mean, it's just a decision that is going to have to, each person is going to have to make for themselves. I don't know how to answer that.
Right, because I just want to make a comment, and I'll fall back for the rest of the night because I got to go to work in the morning. It's been a pleasure talking to you. You definitely have a pleasant voice, really.
Thank you.
And see, on the men's side, we have to multitask, and especially when you're talking about the military. You know, I spend half of my time in the field, and you know, a man who, you know, we got work, but we have to be fathers too. You know, so men have to multitask, and I think some women today say, well, I can multitask, but multitasking is hard. Even, you know, computers can multitask, but the brain can multitask, but it doesn't do it very well, meaning that you can be more proficient in something if you focus on something one at a time. But if you multitask, you may not be proficient in doing something at the same time. You see what I'm saying? That's just not how the brain works, okay? The brain can multitask, but if it wants to do something proficiently, it does better if it focuses on one thing at a time, you know? And if it tries to do too many things at a time, you're going to lack in certain areas. But men have to multitask all the time. We have to go to work. You know, like, for instance, I was in the Army. I spent half of my time in the military out in the field away from home, but I still had to come and be a father. So men have a tough time, too, out here, too. But, yeah, that's all I wanted to ask you. And nice talking to you. And I'm definitely going to try to take your test. If you can leave the link in the chat room, if you have that test, I'll definitely try to take it. And you guys have a nice night. Nice talking to you.
Have a nice night. It was nice speaking with you as well.
All right.
Chaos, are you there?
Where you at? Where you at?
I'm right here.
Okay. Where's Gary at?
He hung up.
That's weird. Is he coming back?
No, he asked his question, or he had a comment to make, and then he left. So.
Somebody should be coming back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I think Gary got disconnected, though.
No, he said goodbye and everything before he hung up. I mean, he didn't get disconnected.
Who, Gary?
The person that was just talking?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Gary, where he's at.
Oh, I think I am. Oh, Oh, shoot. You see, I know him by Chaos.
Oh,
Hey guys, Gary said that his line dropped, and I just asked him to call back in.
okay.
So whoever's on the line, y'all can continue to go to conversation. I'll open this one line right here and see who this is. Unknown caller, who's on the line? Unknown caller, who's there?
That's Big OC, man. Big OC.
Hey, what's up, Big OC? Look, guys, if y'all want to call in, the number to call is 712-770-4160. Press 915-411-pound, and then *6 if you want to talk. But whoever's on the line now, y'all can go ahead and have a conversation. I'll see if I can get Gary to call back in.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Just once.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember that.
Technology.
I miss Diana Ross's performance. That shit was off the hook.
Yeah, Diana Ross. She's beautiful.
Shit, she's 75 years old. That's what's up.
Yeah, can you believe it?
She's a blessed woman, you know. Oh, no, he died too? Damn. Wow. They just show a picture of Joe Jackson too, damn. Joe Jackson.
Hey, Jay.
Yo.
Hey, why you think they chose J-Lo to do the Motown tribute?
You know, that's a good question, man. I think that the only thing that I could think of, 'cause, I mean, she's not the greatest singer. I think maybe popularity. She still probably got a lot of people that's checking her out. Or it was, you know, I don't know. I really don't know. But they could have got a million other people that actually got, you know, could have killed all those songs. And they should have had,
right.
They should have brought different singers for each song that they was doing. Like she did about 4 different songs. They should have had different good singers to perform that shit. I don't know. I don't understand that.
Me either. That shit didn't make no sense. He had her sing a fucking classics and shit.
Like I said, she's not the greatest singer.
Yeah. Nah, she ain't never been known for her singing.
All right, I'm back.
That's why I'm like,
Thank you.
why would Motown let her do that shit?
Miami? Yes.
Yeah, you there, Gary. You good, Gary?
Yeah. I'm not sure, man. My phone line just dropped unexpectedly. I'm not sure.
Well, we kept your guest on. I don't know what happened to the couch potato guy, but your lady friend is here.
Well, Charles, if you listen to the show, you're gonna have to probably call in.
Call back, yeah, because it'd be disconnected shit too.
I don't think what I did earlier was really beneficial because it did something to the line on my end of my phone. So just call into the show, Charles. You get this message. All right. So like I said, with the conversation, who's line? Who's this? Big J? Let me see. That's Big J. Is that you, Big J?
Big OC, man.
Big OC.
Okay. Anyone your brothers got questions? Because I'm not sure what I missed earlier. You asked her any questions?
No, we were trying to figure out where you was at, man. We trying like where Gary at? Where Gary at? You know, but I mean, in the most part, I mean, you could update us. You was talking about different things. I heard the guy talking about, you know, women and certain things, but I didn't catch everything. What was the actual subject title? But I heard a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm. It's the BDSM test. That's the subject we talked about tonight with Miss Neon Eyes. And she could probably give you a brief summary for those who was not paying attention. You know.
Yeah. The conversation kind of turned into different things, but the initial topic was Chaos. I was on a panel with him this past week, and somehow the topic of BDSM came up, and I mentioned this test that people can take if they're interested to it's kind of like a personality test to see where you fall on the scales or whatever when it comes to BDSM. So everybody left and took the test, and some people were like sharing their results and stuff, and we were just having like this conversation about it, and it was very interesting. So,
what is BDSM?
Bondage, discipline, sadist, masochist, or sadomasochism.
So what does that mean? Like dominatrix beating people and shit like that and tying up, or what?
No, I mean that could be a part of it, depending on your taste or whatever. Because, like I said, I'm into it, and I'm not into any of the dominatrix stuff. But you practice certain things in a certain way, and you use it as a tool. The type of BDSM that I have already distinguished that is the best for me is deep DS, and that's basically that part of BDSM that is carried outside of the bedroom. It's not something that's just practiced in the bedroom. It's practiced 24/7 as a lifestyle. So, people tailor their dynamics differently from what they want. You may have one couple who's into that dominatrix stuff. You may have another couple who is into that mental aspects of it, like the mental bondage play and stuff like that, because you can have a man could tie me up mentally, but maybe I don't like being tied up physically. So there's different aspects and different branches of it that, because of the way it's portrayed in the media, how it should be practiced and experienced, people get the wrong idea about it. Like, a lot of people think that 50 Shades of Grey is an example of what BDSM is, and it absolutely is not. The only thing about that movie that was accurate, and I think I give credit to Soul Alchemy because I didn't even catch this, but were the contracts. He drew up a contract for her, and she had to sign it. That's the only thing that paralleled to actual BDSM in that movie. So people watch that movie and they read the book and they think they're getting a dose of BDSM when really they're just getting a generic version of something, but it's not BDSM. So that's kind of, we were on Obsidian's channel. He interviewed me and So Alchemy. We had like almost, I think, 3-hour conversation about it, and it was very interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I always say whatever works for you, as long as you ain't hurting nobody.
Yeah, staying in consensual.
Right. If there's any pain, it's pain that a person wants or likes or whatever. So,
yeah,
that's what you agree with. That's all good. That's on you.
Right. Yeah, two consenting adults. It's not like someone is forcing you or coercing you into doing something, or forcing you into a lifestyle. It's about boundaries and respect and things like that. Boundaries are respected, so.
I see. Any other questions from the few that just called in? Hello? You have questions?
Not that. Go to the next one if you got if you got other people or whatever. But I'm
right.
just
let me
learning.
Look in the
listening.
chat room. All right. Well, let me go in the chat room. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, a lot of back and forth. Yeah, nothing really much in the chat room. Let me see if Charles has any questions. 1 second. I know he had probably maybe short more questions. Let me just double check with him. Yeah.
I should plug my phone up. It's going to go dead here soon.
Charles.
Yeah, what happened? Charles got stuck somewhere?
You have any other questions, Charles?
We'll see where the conversation takes us.
Okay. All right, good.
You don't have any questions. That's what I want to find.
One thing, Neon.
Mm-hmm.
And one question I never did ask in the beginning of the show: how long has this been in existence, BDSM?
I'm sorry?
Ask about how long has this been around, BDSM, the site or the history of it, even as its creation. I'm not sure how long this has been around.
Since I think since the 1960s.
Oh, so it's that old? Oh, I thought it was like
Yeah.
something just recent, like a few years ago. I know it was
No,
that
this
old.
is something that's been around for a while. Like, it's actually very, I think, and that's the thing. People think that it's something new, and a lot of people are probably practicing it right now and don't even know it. They're probably unknowingly into it and drawn to that kind of thing. But because I know that's how I found out that it was something I identify with, and I thought something was wrong with me. So I started doing research and stuff, and I stumbled upon this blog site, and I was reading like a lot of the posts from other girls and stuff, and they were having some of the same feelings and desires and wanting the same things that I was wanting as far as like from their boyfriend or whatever. And I found out that it's called BDSM. I just didn't know that there was a name for it or it was an actual subculture or lifestyle. I just knew what I liked and what I felt, So it made me want to find out more and connect with other people who had some of the same feelings.
Okay. Yashua, you have any questions for tonight's show?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to figure out what the topic is. I keep hearing the word
BDSM.
Okay. Yeah. I keep hearing that word, but
I'm not gonna get it right now. Yeah, go ahead.
I do. Okay. Well, this a two-part question. The first question would be to the young lady on the phone is, I do find that. Well, the first question is this: I find that.
Hello?
Oh, God,
Yeah,
what
who that?
happened?
I opened a new line. Who's this?
That's ABC.
All right, chill, ABC. Oh, Yashua probably doing something. As we wait for Yashua, you have any question, ABC?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about some of this. I've been in and out, so she may have addressed some of this. But the first question is, and I heard the sister saying that she's into the part that's not necessarily in the bedroom and sexual and stuff, but this BDSM, do you define this as primarily a kind of a sexual thing?
No, because a lot of it doesn't have to be sexual to be considered BDSM. I think that some people, when they hear it, they automatically associate it with sex or whips and chains, and I'm trying to get people to see that couldn't be further from accurate, because you can. There are kinks and there are fetishes that don't involve physical touch or physical intercourse. So it's a lot more dynamic and dimensional than sex.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
So, you made that clear. It's not just there's more to it than the sex, but this idea of domination. And I'm sorry, BDSM. I know that the D is dominating. Sadomasochism or something like that. From what I understand, that has to do with pain and domination and this kind of thing. And as was said earlier, what people do in the privacy of their home or something is one thing, but do you not think that there's anything strange about the desire to dominate somebody or to be dominated?
No, I don't think that. Not in the sense of traditional roles. If we're talking about a man dominating a woman, to me that's very normal. But because it isn't normal in mainstream society, it has to be called BDSM, which is sad. But I mean, for me, that's how I clear my headspace, by experiencing pain and domination. And I don't mind for there to be a certain type of order set in my relationship. And I don't mind certain things because I feel like it's natural for a man to want to do those things and want to experience and have certain desires that need to be fulfilled. I don't think it's strange. So if we're talking about in the sense of a traditional male-female dynamic where the male is the dominant, I don't think that it's strange at all.
Well, I agree with this idea of, we have different roles in a relationship. And I personally believe I'm something of a chauvinist, and I think that, men have a role of being leaders and kind of taking a lead type of thing. But to have a space that we define as BDSM, what it sounds like is that it goes beyond that, and there's a need and a desire to be controlled, dominated, or being dominated beyond the norm, in a relationship. I'm married, so when I'm at home, my wife is running the show. I'm doing what she's saying, this kind of thing. So, I'm submitting to her direction around the house. There's some of that. You can talk about submission in that way, or vice versa, where, she's taking care of me and cooking and this kind of thing. People might define that as submitting. So I understand a way that we can define submission and domination, but again, and it may be that my hang up with this term and this designation, it just seems like it's much more than that, and that there's an actual need to, I think you mentioned feeling pain.
Yeah, yes. Because there's different types of submission. There's different forms of submission. There's different levels to it. It's not just one thing. And I think when people hear that word, they tend to think of it in this just one-dimensional sort of way of thinking. When you just gave an example of how your wife runs the show, she's the one that she nurtures you, takes care of you, cooks for you, things like that when you're at home, and that's one form of submission. Does it make you weak? No, it doesn't. So that would be service, I guess, considered service-oriented submission on her part, because she's running the show, but she's still submitting to you in the act of being in control of that particular dynamic in y'all's relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it, and I would maybe agree with you as far as what we're talking about right there. I guess I'm just, when it gets to the point of talking about pain, inflicting pain or receiving pain, or subscribing to a community of BDSM, it seems at that point we're talking about something beyond all of that. And, it's just kind of, I'm going to just say clearly, I think that this society is pretty sick in a lot of ways, and I talk about it being hypersexualized and all this kind of stuff. I understand that she said that this is not just about sex, but the society has an emphasis on sexuality and also just a selfishness. So in the context of all of that, I think that things have manifested or come out like this kind of stuff. And you mentioned that movie, I forgot the name of it, 50 Shades of Grey, and also all of this is like a manifestation of the sickness in society where everything has to be pushed to the limit, and we need to feel. So
that's not that's not what BDSM is about, though. It's not about that. And this is what I mean. This is what I meant earlier by people having a misguided understanding about what it actually is. Because BDSM is, first of all, it's not even mainstream. I mean, If it was widely accepted and if it was mainstream and if it was practiced the way other things are, people wouldn't have such a problem with it and have such a visceral response. It's just that because of the way society has given the idea of BDSM to the public and the masses, people have the wrong idea about it. And for someone who's been, reading books on this, studying different things and exploring the different dynamics that people build, because mind you, every dynamic is different. Just because one person partakes in something doesn't mean the next couple is going to partake in it as well. Every dynamic is tailored to the couple and what's most fitting for their relationship. So I think society's understanding about it, at least a person who doesn't really know that much about it, the first thing that they think is that, oh, that's sick, and oh, why would you allow someone to do this to you? Why would you? So to some people it's innate, but to other people it's a complete contradiction, because you are allowing someone in some dynamics, not in every dynamic, to inflict pain on you. But some people, that's how they clear. That's their way of clearing their headspace. Maybe they need to inflict pain. Maybe they need to feel it. It doesn't mean that someone's making you do something sick, or, mind you, this is something that goes on between consenting adults. And we have this three-word phrase that we use, basically safe, sane, and consensual. So whatever dynamic you build with someone, be it 24/7, be it just in the bedroom, between you and that individual, you have an understanding that you're going to practice this in a safe, sane, and consensual type of way, so that boundaries aren't crossed and you're not hurting someone, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. And let me say, you're a very good spokesperson for this topic. The last thing I would ask you is, I think they said you were 24. You seem really young and I'm not saying this in a bad way at all, but you seem really young to be to be so involved with this kind of stuff.
Well, the thing is, I've never had my own dynamic with someone. I've just been studying it and finding I've been trying to find my place, where exactly I fit in. But I've never had my own dynamic with someone. I've never been able to build that with a man yet. But, I don't normally get visceral responses when I bring it up. A lot of the men who I ran into, on a personal level, they were secretly into it as well. They just didn't know how to express it because of societal views and the way they judge it and things like that. But after we sat down and talked about it, a lot of the very same things that I was into as it relates to BDSM, they were too. They just didn't know how to express it or say it or, how to feel it.
It's pretty interesting. I think that I don't know. Maybe you could give a few more examples. I don't know if you did. Did you give some examples of what you're talking about that's not necessarily sexual, that's part of this BDSM stuff?
I think Neon, didn't we talk about this earlier in the early part of the show, Neon, of examples? Did you give that already? I don't know.
The biggest one that I gave was the mental bondage or mental enslavement. I think even emotional enslavement is power exchange is one as well. There's struggle play. We have this thing in BDSM called struggle play, and it's how you wrestle with someone and you're wrestling until one person just gives in and quits. There's the mental aspect of BDSM where it's the same way. So an example of that would be interrogation. You have some women that actually have a physical, sexual stimulated response when they're being interrogated. So that is one aspect that does not involve sex or physical touch. It involves a lot of the mental stuff, like the nonverbal cues, body language, eye contact, like an intimidating stare, or body language where, how when some men get angry, they either pop their knuckles or clench their jaw. That, just the lighter side of it. That's that would be an example.
This is wow. I mean, yeah, this can be a pretty interesting discussion. I don't want to hog it up, but I think
Yeah.
you're an interesting.
I think you have great questions. I think these are great questions. So.
Well, I mean, I got a bunch of, and the big thing is that, well, you know, I ain't trying to dig into your personal life, nothing like this. But again, you know, you seem to be so young. I think you said you came from a family with a, you know, mother and father and stuff. But you know, to arrive at this point, most of us would think there's something that happened in your life. You know, you were abused or something when you were younger, and you know, there was some kind of stuff that happened that got you to this point where you got satisfaction from being intimidated, somebody staring at you, and you feeling under pressure, and you're actually getting off on that. You know, it's like we're thinking there's some kind of reaction from something that occurred in your past or something.
I mean, a lot of people love the color black, but it does not necessarily the result of some trauma. It could just mean that they love the color black.
No, absolutely. I mean, I accept that. But in most cases,
people tend to regard it in the worst of light, and I just don't understand why. Why is it such a bad thing? Because if you look at the roles, if you actually sit down and look at the roles, they're very linear with nature and the natural law of order. If you actually know anything about BDSM, I mean, if you're into the subculture and lifestyle, they're very linear to nature, and it's very natural. I mean, so I don't understand like where there's a disconnect.
I actually understand what you're saying there. That's, you know, like the lions out there hunting for their food and all this. You know, it's like real life there's danger that's involved in real life. So I get that, and you know, maybe that's something to this BDSM thing where you know, it's like I said it earlier, like you feel alive. You know, this could go either way, and all of this different kind of stuff. But I think what has happened with society is that we've kind of, you know, we aspire for more than to be in that space. That's going to happen anyway. We're going to be in that space. Things happen in life. You're going to be in that space where you don't know how it's going to come out. You know, you're getting jumped. You walk around the street. There's some tough guys or something. You know, I mean, things happen. So that's going to be there. But to subscribe to a group, to a community that you know, everybody's into that seems to be a bit beyond, you know. It's like, yeah, I want to live in that space. I want to be in that intimidated space. Anything could pop off. I want to feel the excitement of you know, the danger, and you know, I want to inflict pain, or I want to feel the pain. You know, to subscribe to that's the thing that's a little different, I think.
Well, I think that you're probably speaking to that branch of BDSM that is more extreme. But just because a person identifies as someone who practices BDSM does not make them a part of that group. You know, just because you're into BDSM does not mean that you have to go from one end of an extreme to another end of an extreme to experience life or pleasure or feel. It just means that your particular fetishes and kinks and interests do not line up with vanilla lifestyle. You're other, and this just BDSM. Like, I'm trying to think of an example.
You said that you haven't actually had an experience. You said that not dynamic. You haven't had the dynamic, whatever that means.
Yeah, I haven't established my own dynamic with a man, with anyone, because honestly, it's a bit intimidating.
Yes. Thank you. Stay there. Don't do it.
But it's supposed to be, because it's not like I'd be submitting myself to the wrong man. The type of dynamic that I want, it would have to be with a man who would take care of me the way my father did, would protect me, would guide me. And I'm not looking for a father, but, you know, a girl's father is her first social exposure to the way a man is supposed to treat a woman. she gets that first from her father. So I'm not looking for to replace my father or anything like that, but the dynamic that I want, I know how serious it is, and I understand that there's a greater risk and danger involved. So I've been taking my time throughout my break from dating to learn more about it and to network with other people and seek mentorship, because I understand that it's easy to get lost and involved with the wrong people, because you do have a lot of primal preys out here that just want to hurt people. They don't want to use it as a tool. They just want to really use it to cause madness and chaos, and that's not what it's about. So, I mean, I have mentorship. I'm being mentored right now, and, you know, it's not like I'm just out here in the lion's den and I don't, have any sort of guidance or direction. No, I have 2 mentors in this BDSM kink thing, and, you know, they've been in it for over 30 years.
Wow. I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that you have mentors, and that you haven't really gone there yet, and that you're very careful about, you know, that initial experience, that you're very careful about any experience with any person, because you understand the dangers that could be involved. I think it's very interesting that you mentioned about your father too, and I don't mean that in any kind of crazy way. I don't think there was any kind of craziness, but I think that what you communicated just now is that, you know, you want a man to be strong. Your father was a strong man. You know, he was a man, and he was commanding, and that doesn't mean he was abusive. I don't know anything about, you didn't go into any of this, but I'm not talking abusive or nothing, but he was a strong man. He was domineering in some ways, but, you know, he was confident. He was the head of the house and this kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think,
he set order.
Right. And you, apparently, from what you just communicated, sounds like you appreciated that, and that's what you want in your life, you know. So that's normal, I think. It just goes when we start to talk about pain and stuff. Now we're veering off into something else.
All right, ABC?
Yeah, I'm good, man. You can go ahead. I appreciate that, Gary.
I think I will conclude tonight's broadcast. Anybody else? Charles, do you have any last questions, Charles Faulkner, before I conclude tonight's broadcast? Charles? Guess not. Anybody else have any final remarks, questions for Neon? I guess not. So, Neon, for any parting last words, what do you want to leave for our wonderful guests that called it and the people that will be viewing this broadcast tonight? What do you want to leave them with?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you to you for having me on and for sharing your space with me. I'm very grateful. Thank you again to the callers and to the commenters and things like that. I'm not going to really say a lot because I kind of feel like a lot of it goes unheard. But I'll just say don't use 50 Shades of Grey to get your idea of what you think it is. Don't use that as a tool to measure. Just because someone tells you that they're into this lifestyle, that could mean a lot of different things because there's no one uniform way to identify as BDSM. There's no one uniform that you wear. There's no one size fits all in this lifestyle. And I think that's the thing that I really want to leave people with and drive home the most to conclude the show. So there's no one size fits all.
Is? You know who David Carradine is?
I'm sorry, who?
David Carradine.
No, I don't.
Yeah, he was a very well-known actor, and he was a lot into martial arts, and his death was a sexual death that he did to himself. I just wanted to know if you ever heard of him.
He kicked his own balls?
Huh?
He kicked his balls?
He did something to himself.
I think he hung himself.
Right, but he did something there that was like
masturbating while he hung himself or something.
It was some weird, a way of dying anyway. But yeah.
Well, it's hard to know how he died and mention he was dead or something to know what the cause of death is. To keep it real, Jay.
Well, they said what he died of. I just don't know what's the name of it.
It's
He had
asphyxiation, I think it was.
Yeah, it's asphyxiophilia.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
It's killing.
What?
They say he hung himself and he was, I think, jacking off or something while he was hanging himself and died that way. But the asphyxiation, getting choked.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah. My last question on Neon. Hold on, let me do this. Give me a second. Cause you know what? I never asked you. Where you originally from? Since I know you have a family background, where you from? East Coast, South? Where you originally from?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Where you have a family background. Nice. Texas in the house. Yes. All right. And we end on that positive note. You know what I'm saying? I tell most people, if you want to get yourself a good woman, get yourself a Southern woman. You know what I'm saying? My dudes. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself a Texas girl or get yourself a nice Creole woman. You know what I'm saying? They know how to treat men right. You feel me? All right. All right, and I will conclude tonight's broadcast. Thank you, everybody, for calling in, listening in. This is Chaos here. Until next time, good night.
Peace.
And this concludes part 2, titled Chaos Reign Presents BDSM and Where You Stand on the Scale, with the beautiful guest, Neon Eyes. I hope you enjoy part 2's recording. Comment, subscribe, and like. Thank you for listening. Take care now.